the day, the hour, the week, the month. What is it like for someone who is underneath a mental health hold in the Weld County Jail currently? Now, I will start off by saying conditions have greatly improved over the course of the last 2 years, especially after some inmates and their attorneys filed complaints with the state and over the treatment of mentally ill patients within the Weld County Jail. The Sheriff's Department has greatly improved the living conditions and how those with mental issues are treated. So, what is it like? What is their hour by hour breakdown? All right. The day starts off at a 6:30 a.m. wake up call. They come by, they rap on the door, they open up the food thing on the door, and they say, and they yell in, "Wake up, hey, get up," something to that effect. It's wake up time. From 6:30 until 6:45, the inmate has a time to wake up, get cleaned up a little as they can. Maybe throw some water on their face, maybe comb their hair if they're allowed to comb. And I will get into the different steps within the actual mental health wing. There are three separate steps, phases, to getting out or to whatever you want to call it. All right. So that's at 6:30 to 6:45. 7:15 is medication, roll call, wellness check on each and every single one of the people who may be currently in the mental health wing pod. All right. It all depends on where you look on the website. It called it a wing, and other times it called it a pod. So that's why I'm using both terms. They after they do the wellness time, and if they are currently on any kind of medication at all, they receive their medication, and then they close the door back up, that little opening door where they get their food passed through to them. They close that back up and lock it, and then they move on to the next one. And this usually takes about a 30-minute time. If all 5 rooms are done, it might take about 35 minutes. So that's why they leave themselves 45 minutes total to complete it all. And some patients are a little bit slower getting up and wanting their medication and taking their medication and making sure that they take it. They take their medication, then they must show them, after they drink water, they must show them the inside of their mouth, underneath their tongue, or move their cheeks to make sure that they actually swallow their medication and they're not what they call pocketing it, like sticking it underneath their tongue and acting like they took it and then saving it up. So, and I guess it's a common thing that happens. I had to actually look into this, I swear. I never knew any of this stuff was even, remotely possible. But there is a possibility that inmates do this. Okay, so at 8:15-ish is breakfast. They get the same breakfast that the rest of the Weld County Jail gets. They don't get a special breakfast. And I will get into the meal thing a little bit later on here to make it more clear for everybody about my other video about what Christopher Watts is eating. All right, so 8:15 breakfast. They give them their tray, they give them a utensil, and they give them a drink. Usually it's like Flavor Aid, an off-brand of Kool-Aid, or a juice that is off flavor from anything you'd buy in the store or want to buy. All right. Most inmates call the juice that they are served a watered-down version of urine. It's completely bland, no flavor. If it was orange juice at one time, it certainly isn't orange juice when they get it. It's not even close to an orange drink like, Tang or anything like that. It's just so watered down. But, they got to make that 5 cents stretch for, 300 people. So after breakfast, they must then return their tray, their utensil, and their cup. These 5 cells are not allowed to keep anything personal in the cell, ever. No papers, no books, no utensils, no pencils, nothing. Not a picture of a loved one, zip. They are only there in these cells temporarily until they are evaluated. And nothing is allowed in the cell with them. All right. And I'll try to post some pictures here at the end of the different outfits that these individuals may wear while they're on suicide watch or waiting to be evaluated by the state for their mental health. All right. So after breakfast is an open time block from 8:30 to about noon. Now, in that time, for that 4 hours, if an inmate wishes to exercise, use their 1 hour of recreation, they can. One inmate at a time is then taken to what they call the exercise yard. It's not a yard. It's a 17-foot long by 16-foot wide room. It's concrete blocks. It has a metal grade roof that has holes in it that are just a little bit smaller than a quarter, so fresh air can get in. There's a basketball hoop on the far end that is embedded in the concrete, so it can't be pulled out. And there's a painted square for where you would target to shoot the basketball. Nothing else in the room. And if they want to play basketball shoot hoops, they are given the basketball. It doesn't stay in that room. Otherwise, they can pace around the perimeter of the inside of the room for 1 hour, and 1 hour only. And then they take that person out and they go back to their cell. After they've been patted down, they are put back in their cell. Just in case something was to get in that room and they were to find it, they can't go back and hurt themselves. It's protocol. All right? So otherwise, they sit. They can look out during this time. They can look out the window that's next to the door, and they can see a television that is positioned so all 5 of these cells can see it. And the TV turns on at about 8 o'clock, and it turns off at exactly noon. It is a time system. It's on a timer. Boop, then it goes off. And what do they watch? They watch things like the Nature Channel, the Discovery Channel, and some other programming that is deemed appropriate that will not excite the patients who are there. If a patient becomes excitable and starts to act out, they have what they call deprivation blinds, and it's made out of a plastic canvas that is one side is gray and the other side is a white, and it has magnets built into it. They can put it over the window, on the door, and the window next to the cell where they see out, and they use this to calm these patients down. And it's by magnets, so they can take it off whenever. And also on the door, there's a sheet. Every 10 to 15 minutes throughout the day, regardless, someone must come by and sign the sheet and the time of when they came by. All right? And that's usually a jailer who does that. But 3 times a day, a mental health technician comes by and signs the same sheet and makes sure that the appropriate amount of time that has gone by and the appropriate amount of number of jailers have come by and signed the sheet. All right? So, what's next? 1:30 to 1:30, it's not set in stone, but they are allowed to meet with legal aid, their attorneys or whoever is representing them for their court case, or someone who has been awarded to oversee their mental health. Some of these people who are there are not charged necessarily with a crime. They may be there for a misdemeanor, but they are there because they are harm to themselves and they're waiting to be sent off someplace else to maybe a mental hospital because they're nuts or they're having a mental breakdown or whatever. But so they try to treat these patients in a vastly different way than how they would treat someone who is in general population. All right. So at 4:45 to 5:15 in that time area is dinner time. Now it's It's not set in stone what time dinner exactly is. They tried to do it at 5, but because of the outbursts that some of these patients, inmates may be having, they are not able to say, well, we'll be there at 5 o'clock on the dot with your meal. Same protocol. They get their tray, they get their silverware, they get their cup. They must return it after they're done. If they do not eat their food, too freaking bad, you'll wait until the next meal in the morning. All right. So then, after they have eaten, and each one is eaten, they at 6 o'clock they allow them phone time and TV time again from 6 to 7:35. They allow them phone and TV time, one inmate at a time, again, with the accompaniment of a guard, are allowed to use the. All right. So then they do roll call after each inmate. If they decided to use the phone, are back in their cells, they do roll call. This is the third roll call throughout the day. Now, I said they do a 10 to 15 minute checkups on them. That, yes, and then they have a 3 times a day a supervisor and a jailer come by to check on the inmates, and they sign the sheet just like everybody else throughout the day. This is a vast improvement over where they used to be. Understand that. Not all jails check on their mental health patients as much or treat them in a way where they are not going to do more harm to these people. Because, again, like I said, some of these people are not charged with serious crimes like Christopher Watts. Some of them are charged with small misdemeanors, walking into traffic or something like that. But they've been picked up and they're waiting to go somewhere else to be evaluated and treated for their mental illnesses. All right. Now, as if you've been a fan of this channel, you've seen before. I've talked about mental health places, state hospitals for the mentally ill that have been closed down all over our nation. When they closed them down, they had no place for these people to go. They just basically kicked them to the street and said, "Hey, I hope you get your medication, and do what's right." Well, a lot of these people end up in county jails. A lot of them know that they're mentally ill. They can't deal with society out here, so they will commit a petty crime to go to jail to get 3 hots and a cot, is what they call it. And while they're there, they get back on their medication. Yeah. So, which one? Think about that. Which one do you think was cheaper? Keeping them in a mental health hospital, where they were being treated and they were able to get more than just medication, or locking them up in jail for petty crimes over and over again? $7:30 every night is wind down time. They turn the TVs off, and they are allowed about 40 minutes of relaxation, or reading time, and then they turn the lights out, and it's called retiring time. They go to bed. All right. So now I want to clarify the meals that Christopher Watts and other inmates are receiving, and this is how it works. When you get arrested, you go to jail. They bring you in, you're cuffed, they sit you down, they take your name, they may call you up a couple of times, once to go to medical, once to go to actual, what they call evaluation, and classification. Evaluation and classification, same thing. And they move you, you come in, they book you, they fingerprint you, they photograph you, then they sit you down, and then you go to medical first, or you go to evaluation classification. All right, you got that part? When you go to classification, they ask you for your religious preference: Catholic, Mormon, Hindu, Jewish, whatever. At that time, when you say what your religious preference is, and what your religion is, if you say you're Jewish, you get put on the kosher meal. From that moment on, they give you a wristband that has a barcode on it, and they scan that, and that is your classification. You are Jewish, You get a kosher meal. You are to get a kosher meal from there on out. If you are to spend an extended period of time in county jail, you can change your religion. All right, from Catholic to Jewish. All right, as an example, you can change your religion, but you must go to what they call services for that changing of religion. You must go, and every time you go, you have to get a sheet signed that says that you were there, and it's signed by the person who is not an inmate, signs it and says that you have gone to services. That is how you change from the general meal to the kosher meal. Once you're on the kosher meal plan and you've met the qualifications, you're on that. You can't go back and forth and back and forth. All right. So when I said that there were options for Chris, Christopher Watts' meal, I didn't mean that he could pick the kosher meal these days and then pick the general meal these days and pick the vegetarian meal these days. He is general meal only right now, unless he is to convert. Then and that would take time. It's not something that is easily done, and there's no way to fast track that. He can't tomorrow afternoon say that he was Jewish all along, and if he was, it would take a court order and the judge to sign it, and then and only then he could say, well, they classified me wrong when I went in jail. I need to be on a kosher meal. I'm starving to death. He could do that, but it's an extremely tiny way of doing it, all right? And to actually get it changed. Otherwise, he's got to go to classes and convert that way. He can convert to Hindu or Muslim or whatever he wants. There is not a Muslim, halam meal or whatever. I think it's called halam, but I'm not sure. Do not quote me on that. And if you want, burn me in the comment section for not knowing. All right. So that is the protocol for what a general day is like for someone who is in the mental health wing or pod of the Weld County Jail. This area is not open to those who are there for DUIs, arrests for other things. This area is just been set aside just for mentally ill, those needing to be evaluated. All right? All right, now, does this schedule ever change? Yes, it changes depending upon court, health, if you're sick and you need to go to the hospital or whatever, it changes the entire thing. If you have court, if you're in the process of a trial or pre-trial motions and you need to physically be there, it changes. Also, it changes if you don't need to physically be there on some days. If a motion is being heard and you are being brought in by closed caption TV, but I don't know the actual name of it, but you watch the proceedings on TV and they see you on a TV in the courtroom. All right. Yes, your meal can either be early or your meal can be late, or you don't get the direct time at that time, you take it during the later hour. These things do change. There's flexibility built into the system. That's why there's 3 hours here and 3 hours later in the day, because they need to be flexible, dependent upon each and every person. When the state comes to evaluate the person, when it gets to that point, the entire thing is done outside of the jail. They do not come to the Weld County Jail and interview and speak with the person, do their evaluation through the shatterproof plexiglass. They remove them and transport them to a separate location where they don't have the pressures of a jail over the top of them. All right. Now, I said that there are 3 different steps within the evaluation process and 3 different levels of inmates who are there. Christopher Watts is currently at a level 1. That means no personal items in the cell. He is on suicide watch. He is not allowed anything of not a picture, nothing in his actual cell. And all the other inmates currently are on the same level. Level 2, you are allowed papers, books, no pencils, no pens, nothing of that sort are allowed on level 2. But you're allowed to have reading material and your court papers. Level 3 is evaluated and waiting to be removed from the area into either protective custody, segregation, or something along those lines. That is level 3. Again, Christopher Watts is at level 1. He will be there at that level until he is evaluated. Now, he could have moved on to level 2 if he would have, gone along with the program up until this point. But unconfirmed. The following is unconfirmed. He did not want to go along with the protocol originally on showering, eating, and sleeping. He did not want to go along with those 3. So he never progressed to level 2. You can get to level 2 without having an evaluation by the state. You can get there by having an evaluation from the mental health technician and staff that is currently employed 6 days a week at the jail. But he didn't. So he's still at level 1. And so are all the other people who are currently housed in the mental health center or wing, pod, whatever you want to call it. They're in the jail. They're all level 1. All right? So I hope that I've been able to help you understand a little bit more about what it's like within the jail. I hope that I've been able to help you understand this part. Again, thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon down below so you're notified when my next video comes up. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And every other Sunday, I do a live Q&A where you can ask just about anything. I don't answer personal questions, but I answer anything else about any other video. So it's open forum. I do have a moderator for that, so no racist, no hate speech, and no try to keep your vulgar language down. Some people are sensitive of that. But again, and in the description below, there are links directly to Amazon where you can save money on various different things. I try to pick at least 5 items a week that you can save money on. That these are direct only links. They're not going to come up on one of these coupon app things like Honey. They're only directly from Amazon. Now, clicking on a link doesn't help my channel. You have to buy something in order to help my channel. An example, and I'm going to make this quick. Last week, I had a Canon PowerShot camera that was listed on there that was 85% off directly from Amazon. 85% off. 2 people clicked on it. 1 person bought it. That person, when they made that purchase, I got $1.17 from that deal. $1.17. To answer one more question, I do not make a penny off of these videos. Only way I can make any money off it is somebody clicks on that link and buys something from Amazon, and I get a small percentage of the, the very, very small percentage, obviously, but, I don't make any money off this stuff. I don't know why people keep on, posting in the comments section over and over again. I can't believe that, you're profiting off of this tragedy. I'm not. I do this because of my curiosity and because my fans out there want to see this stuff. Again, thank you everyone for stopping by. Sorry for my rambling here at the end. You all have a great day.